Court order on Manus Centre closure not enforced. UOG unrest report completed. And Goroka prepares groundwork for APEC 2018.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me with Monday's news. The Supreme Court order of April 26th, which ordered for the closure of Manus Regional Detention Centre, has not been enforced yet. Today in court, the state lawyer said the government is having problems interpreting the court order. This has been an ongoing concern for the state to interpret orders before enforcing it.
2 weeks ago, Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia arranged for a full court to sit today to interpret Order Number 6 of the Supreme Court ruling in April. Today, the court was adjourned indefinitely because the National Executive Council and the state are still having problems interpreting Order Number 6 and 1. Both PNG and Australia are also facing issues at the bureaucratic level in trying to enforce the court order. Order 1 states that the detaining of the asylum seekers is unconstitutional, and Order 6 directed for both PNG and Australian governments to close down the detention centre on Manus Island. The full court, which consisted of 3-men Supreme Court bench, were called in because neither of the parties had taken steps to close down the centre and relocate the detainees back to Australia. The full court also said that NEC is not complying with the orders because they are not seeking the court's clarification regarding the interpretation of the orders. Deputy Chief Justice Segib Salika, who is part of the full court, spoke strongly that PNG and Australia have agreed to bring the asylum seekers to PNG and they should work together again to bring them out. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has announced last Friday that PNG and Australia are in discussions to close down the centre. Pasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says that he doesn't understand what Bougainville President John Momis is trying to achieve with his political grandstanding over the Bougainville Copper Limited shares. The Bougainville leader was critical of the government's decision to transfer 17.3% BCO shares directly to landowners. O'Neill warned Momis not to play politics and use the peace process for political gain. He said the ABG is very welcome to participate in the consultation process with landowners, but these shares will go to the people who have a direct stake of the mine. O'Neill says the ABG views were taken into account in cabinet, but the NEC decision is final. On the matter of the mine's reopening, O'Neill said that the national government will not participate as this will be decided by the ABG and the people of Bougainville. The investigation into the unrest at the University of Goroka has been completed. This morning, the investigation team presented the report to UOG Chancellor Dr. Joseph Sukwenom. Chairman of the investigation team, Lawrence Titimur, says the recommendations in the report are to guide the university in its operations.
Almost 2 months after students at the University of Goroka clashed, a report of the incident has been completed. The investigation team revealed that the incident occurred because of the arguments among different students groups in completing their studies.
This was not a revolt by people who were drunk, people who were unreasonable. This was a reaction by people who were fed up with lawlessness, fed up with drinking, drugs, and generally dissatisfied that they were not being allowed to carry out their studies.
It took 6 weeks for a 3-man team to complete the investigation. The first part of the investigation report presents an analysis of the events of June 14, 2016, including the background of the nationwide boycott by state-run universities. The second part includes the main findings, conclusions and recommendations meant for the UOG Council.
And so therefore we have the report which we are confident will help us to move the University of Goroka further.
Copies of the report were also presented to the Office of the Prime Minister, Chief Secretary to Government and Higher Education, Science and Research Minister Francis Marus.
The management is now in a better position to identify how best problems can be addressed. So many of the recommendations that have been put forward, which falls under the administration, will be pursued.
Areas highlighted in the recommendation include security, discipline, students' groups, recreation facilities, and a chapel in the campus. Also in the recommendation is the need for an aptitude test for students during admission. The investigation team believes students should not be enrolled with high GPA marks, but with good values in characters and discipline. The UOG administration will be making a bold statement in implementing some of the recommendations when necessary. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
As one of the satellite venues for the 2018 APEC Summit, Goroka Town is getting ready to receive international visitors. An important infrastructure that is being upgraded is the Goroka Town Airport. EMTV was able to speak with the chairman of the Airport Upgrade Committee, Ipai Maniha, who said the upgrade is on schedule.
Ipai Maniha is the Deputy Provincial Administrator with the Eastern Highlands Provincial Administration. The work on the airport is a national government project through National Airports Corporation. Maniha said the upgrade will include work on the terminal and the runway.
There will be a modern terminal, a two-story terminal, which is comparable to many parts of the world. And also we will the main runway will be extended to cater for Foka 100, and we will also have there will be lighting for the runway to cater for night flights.
He said the total cost of the upgrade will be over 100 million kina, and funding support is coming from the ADB. With this development, Goroka Town residents bid farewell to majestic pine trees that has been the landmark of the Peace Park that shares a boundary with the airport. This felling of the pine trees was criticized by Goroka residents.
Large or huge airplanes need air to land and air to take off. So for that purpose, the historical trees have been cut down, but we are cutting them down in the name of development.
Maniha said they have decided to donate the trees to Goroka Secondary School to build classrooms and teacher houses. The upgrade is expected to be completed by next year and be ready well before the start of the 2018 APEC Summit.
There are also some land issues we are also trying to address, and we are addressing them. It's not big issues, they are manageable, and we hope to get all those issues. But those issues are not affecting the major work being done on the airport. So we hope that this airport will be completed by March 2017.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has given his Singaporean counterpart Lee Long assurance that PNG will support Singapore's bid to become a member of the Part 2 of the International Civil Aviation Organization Assembly Council. ICAO is a UN specialized agency mandated as the global forum for civil aviation safety, security and navigation regulation. This request was through a written correspondence conveyed to Prime Minister O'Neill today in Port Moresby. In response, PM O'Neill accepted Singapore's request to support it in the upcoming ICAO Assembly. The Papua New Guinea Accident Investigation Commission aims to increase its reputation both locally and abroad as an organization committed to improving air transport safety. This was made known during the launch of AIC's Corporate Plan and Priorities 2016 to 2020 in Port Moresby today.
Today, the Papua New Guinea Accident Investigation Commission marked another milestone with the launch of the organization's Corporate Plan and Priorities 2016 to 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of our people of Papua New Guinea and their government today to officially launch the PNG Accident Investigation Commission's Corporate Plan 2016 to 2020.
Captain David Inau, who now heads the AIC, acknowledged the support from all stakeholders in completing this plan. He said the focus now was for the AIC to fulfill the targets outlined in this document.
We're a new organization, we are 5 years old. We have to learn through the experiences and look at our future developments, and we need to include all that into our corporate plan. So it took a while. It took about close to 2 years to develop this plan. Yes.
The occasion was made extra special with the Civil Aviation Minister announcing a location set aside for the AIC to construct its facilities. The first time for the AIC to have a permanent home since its establishment.
Today, I'm happy to announce on behalf of government that the AIC now, as of tomorrow perhaps, will sign the documentation that is required to be able to own land of its own, where it can build its facilities for the future.
It is important. This is a start. The land is a start, but we need an office space. As you know, we have moved about 4 times since we established in 2010. We haven't had a permanent office, so we could not develop AIC to what we want it to be like.
Mirabatulo, National EMTV News.
When we come back, the struggles of Watut people addressing 500,000 children out of school, and Boroi Aid Post opens after more than 60 years. Welcome back. A visit to the lower Watut area of the Morobe province by the Morobe governor has brought to light once again the long-standing problem of transportation affecting cocoa farmers. Bad roads and long boat trips are part of life for the people in Watut. What many don't realize is that cocoa farming puts an estimated 1.2 million kina every year into the pockets of farmers.
This is a road used by cocoa farmers of the lower Watut area during the dry season. It's a shorter route that would cost much less in terms of transportation if attention was given to this location. This is what our lay crew member encountered while en route to the banks of the Watut River. For the farmers, it's a daily struggle to get cash crops to the market. But this region is one of the richest in terms of the cash income that comes to the riverside population. Cocoa revenue going directly into the pockets of farmers and their families is about 1.2 million kina every year.
Now yet increase blow one me farmer all increase in cocoa garden blongol and by suruki goes 2.something million kina and by every year by flow inside the year. So me bla luglu strong long big bla luglu strong blow me bla cooperative lo make him all man marry must benefit na all must sustain him all family na look out him good family blow.
While the cash income is relatively large, the standard of living has seen minimal improvement. Infant and maternal mortality rates remain high, and this is largely due to transport difficulties and poor access to hospitals.
2,000 plus all farmer or cluster groups already affiliate inside long cooperative society.
In the last 6 years, Watut farmers have received a lot of international attention after gaining recognition in Paris for the quality of the cocoa produced in the area. However, international attention has had minimal impact with the chronic transportation problems that continue to plague the people of the lower Watut. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Ley.
A workshop is currently underway in Port Moresby to address the issue of children who are not in school. Called the Out of School Children Initiative, the workshop aims to collect data and create strategies to address this issue of children missing out on education.
An estimated figure from the National Statistics Office and the Education Department revealed that there are over 500,000 school-aged children not registered in any schools throughout the country. This not only reveals the number of school-aged children missing out on education, but the need to put in strategies and policies to address this issue.
The first box up, people identify most roughly 500,000 beginning in Blooming Plain established school. The focus of this workshop is to bring back all the children who are out of school back into school.
Assistant Secretary James Agigo, who heads the Education Department's Research, Evaluation and Statistics, says the workshop is in its first phase, where data profiling and data cleansing is the main priority.
So we are using a variable database to identify, ask specific questions, and to say, right, this number of children who have been to school and they have gone out of school, and there are children who have never gone to school, who have never entered the school, who have never sat in a classroom.
The second phase of the workshop will be a bottleneck analysis, where all data collected will be compiled and presented to the department head. The bottleneck analysis will also identify key factors to why children are not in school.
Our last workshop would be what we call a bottleneck analysis. That will complete all our data. And that's where the Secretary and Minister will announce the number that we have confirmed that this is the number that are not in school, and we will deal with it.
Agigo says once all factors have been identified, strategies will be developed to address this issue.
And so we will say, right, if it is government factors, then we have to address government factors. If it is their own community factors, other factors that influence children not to go to school, we have to address those. So first, the second workshop, the third workshop is going to be on identifying barriers, what prevents children from not coming to school.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The strategic point of the inclusive early childhood care education is for a read and write society. Program coordinator for the Cheshire Inclusive Education Resource Centre, Paulus Pasbon, says the program targets children because that's the start of the learning stage. A week-long workshop was carried out recently in Milne Bay Province.
Milne Bay Province concluded the pilot program Inclusive Early Childhood Care Education Training Workshop. Targeted participants were mainly elementary teachers and district education office trainers.
Aim is to conduct this training to them so that they can also go back and conduct the inclusive early childhood care education to other districts, so we cover most teachers.
Education is the key to development, which is a component of the inclusive early childhood care education, aimed to create a learning environment beginning with children.
Yeah, 3, 4 and 5. So that's the aim of the early childhood. And this is the strategic point where we want learning to take place, so that if we are to make our societies be inclusive, our schools to be inclusive, then we start developing the child when he's still at the early age.
The week-long workshop ended on a high note, with participants equipped with the knowledge and skills to be specialists in inclusive education. One fundamental was the inclusion of persons with special needs included in the mainstream and early childhood care.
We learned the daily routines, how to program their lessons, and how to care for them as parents, as teachers, and as field workers.
The Inclusive Early Childhood Care Education Training Workshop is supported by UNICEF and the Cheshire Disability Services. The pilot projects are in the autonomous region of Bougainville, Central Province, National Capital District, and now Milne Bay Province. Fabian Haklitz, National EMTV News.
Borough Aid Post in the Bogia district of Madang has been reopened after it was closed for more than 60 years due to the government's negligence. Thanks to the non-government organization in the country, World Vision, who with funding from the New Zealand government got the Borough people to take ownership and revive their aid post, this time with a maternal wing. Rachel Shise with this report.
Boroi is one of those remote villages in the Bogia district of Madang, located near the border of Madang and the East Sepik provinces. People travel a whole day to get to town to access basic services, and the health service is no exception. The Boroi aid post was built by the government, but like other government remote aid posts, it too has been neglected for years, became run down, short-staffed, and eventually closed its doors for more than 60 years until 5 days ago. Thanks to World Vision, a non-government organization in the country, the aid post has been revived with an additional maternity ward.
It's kind of a success story that for the community and for the project, and also for the partners that we are working to ensure that this aid post is opened.
With World Vision's directives, the Boroi people sought to seek and were granted 15,000 kina from the member for Bogia, John Hickey, while they chipped in 4,600 kina themselves, and World Vision topping off with 12,000 kina, totaling to 31,600 kina for the renovation and the new maternity ward.
Credit ko all people below me. Thank you, lo interest below you. Lo kisimenjo. Thank you, lo interest below you, kisimolsem government. Now, thank you, lo interest below you, some people you may cooperate, where you may make him partner. Now you may bring him this project he come up also.
This aid post will cater for the health needs of more than 5,000 people. That includes those from the East Sepik province, just across the border of Madang province.
Man we go past Lord, give money, lo mipla lo make him this la work government of New Zealand. So mipla la talk thank you lo New Zealand government, lo give him money, lo mipla lo make him this la house sick.
On behalf of the Bogia MP John Hickey, Robert Gaguri assured the people that the office of the member will step in to equip the aid post.
You talk from solar light, now put him free to go inside and click something.
World Vision also thanked the people for taking ownership and making the project a success.
Me congratulating you online, Boroi, the leadership in the community.
Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Milne Bay Province will host the 52nd Medical Symposium. The annual event will be held at the Cameron Hall from September 4th to the 9th under the theme The Global Burden of Disease, particularly as it applies to Papua New Guinea. There is already excitement with the display of banners around Alotau town and fundraising efforts by the committee on the ground. The patron of the annual Medical Symposium is Milne Bay Governor Titus Philemon. Coffee production in the Eastern Highlands is making a comeback after a slow production last year. With coffee factories stockpiling coffee bags on a daily basis, coffee farmers are enjoying what they say is a very good season that will still continue in the months to come.
Some farmers say the high quantity production this year is the effect of last year's El Nino.
But now we look at Mozambique Placenis.
Barnabas Tudaki is a coffee farmer in the Lufa district. It's the same scene along the main road in the district at every coffee garden. With the trees blossoming like this again, in 6 months' time, it will be another heavy harvest.
So coffee now is stop yet. One house I got 11, 12, 13 bags and stop yet.
He says the high production is making the farmers work extra hard to keep up with the production of coffee.
Now coffee I'm sleeping at house stop. Now yeah I'm looking flower I'm carrying now. So look what's I'm continuous picking it now. Enjoying it.
With the current ban by the Coffee Industry Corporation on selling coffee cherries, farmers are selling parchment and green beans only. Depending on where they are selling, parchment is between 4 kina and 4 kina 70 toya per kilo, while green bean is between the range of 7 kina 40 toya and 7 kina 80 toya. And it seems Lufa is the place to go to get the best price for coffee, as farmers all over Eastern Highlands and other coffee producing provinces are going to Lufa to sell their coffee.
Jibaka is I come, all Hagen too I come, all many Tari too I come. Morobe too, Chimbu, Kainan too. I'm Kainan too, I'm Goroka yet.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at 0.3155 US dollars in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying 0.3080 US dollars, 0.4013 Australian dollars, 0.2692 euro and 30.56 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and copra closed higher, while gold and cocoa closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 45.13 points lower, the ASX is trading at 14.48 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 15.77 points lower. Among stories after the break, looting out at sea after a cargo ship ran aground off Fisherman Island. Stay tuned. Welcome back. A shipping vessel belonging to Rimbunan Hijau was ransacked after it ran aground on reef just meters off Fisherman Island on Saturday. Over 1 million kina worth of goods and machinery were looted. Port Moresby police visited the vessel this morning and were able to stop further looting. Fishermen Islanders who were involved in the looting were directed by Port Moresby police to return the properties they removed from the ship. The ship was on its way to Gulf Province when it ran aground. Deputy President of Salamaua LLG in the Morobe Province says the brutal attacks on tourists and porters in 2013 along the Black Cat Trail caused a significant drop in tourist numbers. Jason Tabora says work to restore the area's credibility has been slow. The low inflow of tourist numbers has also affected business for the guest houses.
According to Jason Tabora, locals have realized the damage that the Black Cat incident has caused them. They are now working with their community leaders to try and find ways to regain confidence of tourists. They are now educating youths to look after the Black Cat Trail.
And maybe we'll pick up as soon as everybody is in line now. So it will be a big economic boost long year long. Tourism, so.
The Black Cat Trail is a trek that runs from Salamaua on the coast of Morobe into the mountains to the town of Wau. 3 years ago, a group of tourists who went trekking there were attacked by criminals. 2 of the group of porters were hacked to death, while 7 were seriously injured, along with 4 of the trekkers. At the Salamaua guest house, a caretaker, Elias Patai, says they are losing business due to the low number of tourists going to Salamaua. He explains the guest house main revenue is largely generated from tourist visits.
Tourism go down. Now from there onwards, come easy come and tap stop.
Elias Patai is calling on the provincial authorities to come to the aid of the guest house and assist them, saying the rundown of the guest house is also another reason discouraging tourists from going to Salamaua. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lei.
Teachers in the Morobe province will be expected to start implementing the standards-based curriculum starting next week after training workshops end on Friday. Today, over 100 teachers attended the official opening of the training, which will set the groundwork for implementation.
These are the people who will go out and implement the standards-based curriculum in the elementary schools. The second phase of the SBC training involves the trainers and these elementary teachers. The Acting Assistant Secretary for Measurement Services Division, Pakiem Arulapan, said the standard-based curriculum will be implemented in schools after this week's training.
By paying attention to literacy and numeracy, we want to bring about improvement in the standard of mathematics and language.
Arulapan said the official launching means outcome-based curriculum will no longer be used in Morobe as a teaching and learning system. He said standards-based curriculum is aligned to international practices taught and assessed by the teachers. SBC also represents a shift away from the emphasis on vernacular to standardized English.
So our children are able to write as before and even better.
The government has made available 1.4 million kina for the program. Provincial education officers will be monitoring the trainings in rural areas to make sure implementation happens as planned.
We have put out the public notice for all elementary schools in the province be suspended whole week to ensure that every elementary teacher, 100% of elementary teachers attend this SBC training.
As of last year, 13 provinces have been introduced with SBC and only 9 provinces have been left out. All 9 provinces will be covered throughout this week. The standard-based curriculum will be taught in primary schools next year. By 2018 and 2019, the entire system up to grade 12 will be standardized. Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Staff of Mount Hagen Hospital have refused to provide services to patients at the hospital. The stop work today follows the termination of one of the union leaders, Dr. Benjamin Yapo. Dr. Yapo has been ordered by the hospital board to stay away from the hospital premises. The hospital staff have all disagreed with this decision, given the fact that Dr. Yapo has been leading their fight against the hospital board and management.
Today, staff of Western Highlands Provincial Health Authority gathered outside the hospital in what seemed like a public forum. Staff and even the public expressed their views about what the hospital was going through. Today's stop work by the staff is a result of the termination of Dr. Benjamin Yapo, the person who has been leading their fight against the board and management. There was a bit of commotion when sideline Chief Executive Officer Dr. James Kintwa wanted to address the forum. He then left, accusing certain doctors leading this crisis for being part of the initial problem. All union representatives are condemning the decision of the board in terminating their leader and spokesperson.
Ina mamas wantem tasol mipla respect him, process mipla respect him, government of a day, na mipla staff lo workplace, na displa notice ikam long, management na board Western Highlands Provincial Health Authority board lo here, emi rausim Dr. Benjamin Yapo, where leader lo bista team of workers here, allied health workers, doctors, nurses, community health workers, and mipla united no one pla man and speak him own peace of mind. Mipla always in consultation, this issue Mipla carry come forward because I'm affecting Mipla all get on a patient care.
All get a uniform Mipla, all doctors Mipla start long and people something happen long year long today long Hagen hospital. Every one plus central location, na every one plus unique place where Mipla so admiring this hospital from Mipla.
Fully no work. Now I'll see Glagen, I'll see him. He open, but you know I'm the nurse, doctor, community health worker, X-ray worker. Or pathology worker, no got on money staff. Because all the staff will talk doctor in make mouse plumipla nami talk long some like issue long housing. So was this like talk lo doctor and only pass him lo work housing and effectively minus him all pass him talk plumipla so mipla all get all pass him housing now.
All have now agreed to boycott work until their demands are fully addressed by the government, especially for the replacement of the current board. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
True Guy Sports is next. Hunters return home after their crushing defeat and the closing ceremony of the Rio Olympics. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
The SP-PNG Hunters returned this afternoon from Cairns following their embarrassing defeat to Northern Pride yesterday. The Hunters lost 40 points to 16 at Barlow Park and now sit in 4th place on the Intrust Super Cup ladder.
With 3 players missing in yesterday's match due to suspension and a few others out with injury concerns, Coach Michael Marum says they won't be using that as an excuse.
Not really.
gonna go back to that excuses, but okay, I think that the boys that were in the team train well all throughout the week. It's just how they turn up and play. I think our halves again, again, just too much pressure on them. So
Stagroth Amin, Nixon Borana and Noel Zemming made a return into the starting lineup in yesterday's clash after being out for 6 weeks.
I think they did well. I think they've been out for some time, coming back into the first game against a tough side too. So, but now we can't look at that game now. We need to focus on this weekend's game.
They will be doing a video analysis of the match to see where they went wrong and prepare for the last match before the competition finals.
But now that boys didn't play well in the first half. Let soft try in, but now we still have one more game this weekend. We got the finals after that, so that's something we have to look forward to. So.
Out of 12 games in this season, the SPPNG Hunters have won only 4. Marum says this will be something they will look into before next year's season.
Last away game, so and that brings a real home and away records. We've lost. We only won 4 away games this year, so that's something that we look at for next year.
They will play the Sunshine Coast Falcons, who are ranked 5th on the competition points ladder, at the National Football Stadium this weekend. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
A blustery storm, a touch of melancholy and a sense of pride converged at the closing ceremony of the 2016 Olympics on Sunday, August 21, as Brazil breathed a collective sigh of relief at having pulled off South America's first games. After a grueling 17 days, Rio de Janeiro cast aside early struggles with empty venues, security scares and a mysterious green diving pool to throw a huge carnival-like party. Usain Bolt has achieved the unthinkable, ending his Olympic career with a triple-triple, immortalizing him as the greatest sprinter of all time. Bolt rewrote the history books yet again when he took out gold in the 100 meters, 200 meters and the 4x100 meter sprinting events in Rio. Trukai Sports continues with volleyball and football after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. With only 10 days before the National Volleyball Championships get underway, Team NCD held their training session at the Taurama Indoor Sports Centre under the guidance of their coaches and association president. The association will be represented by a number of teams in their respective divisions for both men and women. MTV's Godwin Eki reports.
NCD Volleyball Association ran their training sessions yesterday at the Taurama Aquatic Indoor Sports Centre for both men's and women's teams. The teams were training under the watchful eyes of the association president. The association is taking every necessary measures in making sure that teams are well equipped and ready to take on the rest of PNG at this year's national championships. Teams included in their respective divisions will cover the under-21 for both men's and women's and open A-grade divisions for the seniors, men's and women's. Also representing the National Capital District alongside NCD Volleyball Association is Fairfax Volleyball Association with 8 teams already selected for both men's and women's, including open and under-21. Teams from around the country, including central provincial teams, are expected to come in their numbers for the championships, with Port Moresby City to play host. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
Well, it may not be the Olympics, but the young children being awarded for various prizes during the school's football presentation were just as enthusiastic as gold medal winners in Rio. Over the weekend, the school's football end-of-season awards were presented and included the Most Improved and Fair Play awards.
Students from Sacred Heart, Broco Salvation, Koki Primary, Carborough International and Cheshire Homes were all present to the small awards ceremony held at the Rita Flynn Indoor Complex on Saturday. Divisions ranging from the under-6 through to the under-16 posed for photos amidst excitement at the trophies received. Some not bothered with the attention. Teachers representative and principal of Paradise High School, Abdurrahman Aiden, stressed the importance of educated sportsmen and women in Papua New Guinea.
If you have a real talent in any kind of sports, you can train yourself and pursue your goal. I would like to end my remarks with a quote: you cannot put a limit on anything. The more you dream, the farther you get.
The school's football competition has run for 2 months, the concept involving younger players and teaching concepts of spatial awareness and ball control. Countries such as the Solomon Islands and Brazil have long adopted the program, which has seen them reach World Championships and World Cup finals respectively. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
And that ends True Kai Sports. The weather details when we come back.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, fine and cool in Port Moresby, fine in Daru, Kerema and Alotau, and a shower or two in Popondetta. In the Momase region, mostly fine in Ley and Medang, a shower or two in Vanimo and Wewak. In the Islands region, a shower or two in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, fine in Kimbe and mostly fine in Buka. And in the Highlands region, a shower or two in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our top stories for tonight: the closure of the Manus Detention Centre yet to be enforced, plans underway to address 500,000 children out of school, and looting out at sea after a cargo ship ran aground off the Fisherman Island. And that's how we begin another working week. I'm Helen Seah. Pleasant viewing. Good night.